there's this virus going around among the left who are frustrated because they're losing. And those of you who are conservatives, you know sometimes it's frustrating because you lose too politically. But when you lose, you don't engage in violence. So they're going to lose the Supreme Court nomination fight. Is that going to justify violence? They don't like what ICE is doing, so they're publishing the names of ICE law enforcement personnel online in a way as to make put them and their families at risk. I see an ICE office was attacked. I see you had lawlessness up in New York this week where you had an immigrant who's now a naturalized U.S. citizen climb the Statue of Liberty, putting herself at risk and the law enforcement at risk and trying to get her down safely. And just recently, just the other day, and if you haven't seen the video, you should look at it. There were these two kids sitting in a Whataburger at Texas. One of them was wearing a MAGA hat, Make America Great hat, which is the kind of the Trump slogan. It's the red MAGA. Some thug went and took it off, ripped it off his head, said terrible things to him and said he was going to throw the hat in the fireplace and walked out with it. And, and this teenager, 16-year-old boy, he and his friend are sitting there shocked. Thankfully, he was arrested. I mean, you're going to see this. You watch the video if you haven't already, because you're going to be pretty darn upset. Targeting a young boy, a young teenager. I have a feeling this guy wouldn't target someone like me. It's funny how they go after the weak. It's no surprise. But this is a sort of violence. Why would we have to worry about showing support for a politician that you like in public? One of the dirty little secrets here, it's the left has always behaved like this. I've lived in Washington, D.C. longer than I will admit to. And one of the things if you put a bumper sticker that has conservative thought on it or a conservative politician on it, your car is likely to be vandalized. And it didn't just start happening yesterday. It's been the case for years here in Washington, D.C. Because Washington, D.C. is basically a liberal area politically, and has a lot of liberal activists because we're the nation's capital, more specifically. Now, I know not all liberals are violent, but there's this nasty crowd in the leftist movement that is violent. And the politicians like Maxine Waters feed off of that, encourage it, implicitly endorse it, use it as a threat against others who are sensible to get them to do what they want them to do. Just think of the leftist motto, no justice, no peace. That implicit threat of violence. And this kid who was assaulted by this thug, God bless him, because his response was, I support my president, and if you don't, let's have a conversation about it instead of ripping my hat off. I just think a conversation about politics is more productive for the entire whole rather than taking my hat and yelling subjective words at me. I don't know who this kid's parents are, but God bless them, and God bless him for responding with such maturity and grace in the face of this violent attack, which is what I encourage everyone to do. I mean, you defend yourself if necessary, but what a dangerous situation we're in. And politicians like Maxine Waters need to be held accountable for inciting this type of behavior.